Early Adulthood by Sherry Foster. The early adulthood life stage covers the span of approximately 18 to 40 years of age. Aging begins once physical maturity is reached and physical changes are gradual. Persons in this age group are continuing their education, entering the workforce, learning to make important decisions, and in peak physical condition. Finding the balance between school, work, friends, and family can be a challenging emotional learning process that involves successfully applying what is learned to real-life situations. There are many theories on aging. According to the early wear and tear theory of aging, people's bodies wear out from use and age. However, recent research indicates the more active individuals are, the more apt they are to live longer and healthier lives. In other words, if people do not function to capacity, they lose it. Lifespans among family members can vary depending on environments and behaviors, so perhaps individuals inherit genetic factors that predict lifespan over inheriting a certain lifespan. In the end, it is individuals' context, like healthy habits and available health care, that predict lifespans. From animal experiments, researchers have learned that caloric restriction, i.e., a very low-calorie, nutritious diet, contributes to life longevity. As people's immune systems age, their bodies are less likely to recognize healthy cells over harmful cells and can result in the body's defenses targeting healthy cells and ignoring harmful cells. There are additional theories that offer further explanations for aging, such as aging is linked to genetics, wherein individuals' genes contain DNA and serve as their inherited genetic blueprints for all of their characteristics. However, inherited characteristics for aging like blood pressure and bone density are small influencers, as health also depends on context and lifestyles. Cellular mutation is damage to DNA and chromosomes and increases with age, resulting in worsening body functioning and increasing age-related diseases and cancers. When people's cells are exposed to oxygen, very reactive and corrosive substances called free radicals form that destroy DNA, proteins, and other cellular materials and contribute to age-related diseases and cancers. Free radicals could also account for part of cellular mutation. Protections against free radicals can include an antioxidant-rich diet, including vitamin C and E and beta-carotene, in addition to individuals' genes and environments that help the body produce material that neutralizes free radicals and lessens the harm produced by them. Yet another explanation of aging could be the reduced capacity for cell division. People's cells have the capacity to divide approximately 50 times over their lifespans, but upon each division, telomeres, which are tiny caps of DNA located at both ends of the chromosomes, shorten. For further learning about telomeres and aging, you may view the following link. Stress and oxidative stress, which results from free radicals, contribute to telomere shortening, which could serve as a biomarker of aging. Since the development of individuals is a complex process, aging is likely to be explained by drawing little bits from all of the above theories. Young adults' physical development includes evolving to peak performance and then maintaining it. Once physical maturity is reached, a process called senescence begins, which is a gradual decline in age-related physical functioning. Visible and measurable signs of aging begin around age 30, such as wrinkles, gray hair, and hereditary balding, but could also go unnoticed until middle adulthood. Early adulthood development is multidimensional and multidirectional, meaning that various body parts age at different rates, and there are gains and losses in body capacities, i.e., strength and motor skills. Physical functioning and aging differs among individuals because it is affected by personal genes, environments, experiences, and health, as well as socioeconomic status and behaviors pertaining to things like diet, exercise, sun exposure, drug use, and alcohol consumption. Smoking causes lung efficiency, which declines with age, to drop 5% faster per decade for smokers over non-smokers. Over one-third of individuals in early adulthood smoke tobacco cigarettes, with 80% reporting having their first cigarette before age 18, with regular or daily smoking beginning around age 20. Low levels of tobacco, including social smoking in adolescent years, predict smoking during young adulthood. Sun exposure is accountable for about 80% of skin changes and is the leading cause of skin cancer. Since tanning beds produce more ultraviolet radiation than natural sunlight, those that tan are more than twice as likely to develop skin cancers than others. Sunscreen provides protection and can slow skin aging. Here's a critical thinking discussion question. If sun exposure is known for aging skin and increasing the risk of skin cancer, why do you believe many young adults in the United States still choose to tan? Cognition changes over the life stages, but during early adulthood, it peaks around age 35 and then begins declining in late adulthood. A shift in reasoning in early adulthood, called post-formal reasoning, involves young people realizing that problems have various causes and solutions, some solutions are better choices than others, and that all problems are associated with uncertainty. Abstract reasoning is combined with real-life considerations. A part of post-formal reasoning is epistemic cognition, which looks at ways individuals understand how they arrived at ideas, beliefs, and conclusions, which is most likely to occur as young adults mature. Most college courses require young adults to create arguments and solve difficult problems, therefore fostering the development of post-formal reasoning. All types of colleges and the related coursework improve young adults in the areas of intellectual and social development. Students who live in dorms show greater cognitive gains throughout college because there are more presented opportunities for peer interactions within both academic and social contexts. During psychosocial development, young adults emerge into adult roles at different rates. Those that lurk in the in-between stage of not adolescents but not quite adults, between the approximate ages of 18 and 25, are in emerging adulthood. Research indicates that emerging adulthood has increased in recent years due to young adults extending educational experiences prior to entering careers, taking longer to decide on a chosen career track, and gradually becoming financially independent at later ages. This causes delays in getting married and becoming parents. Psychosocial development is important during emerging adulthood because it marks a rise in self-esteem and better regulation of emotions, along with examining life options, exploring alternatives, and making frequent changes in education, romantic partners, and jobs. Traditionally, reaching adulthood was measured by getting married, for example, but now emerging adults consider personal characteristics like accepting responsibility for themselves, making independent decisions, and becoming financially independent as marking adulthood. Larger societal changes affect emerging adulthood, but are not universal. High school dropouts who become parents early, begin work at a job immediately, and live in low socioeconomic homes and communities may experience emerging adulthood for a limited time or sometimes not at all. Young adults who receive advanced career training experience delays in entering a chosen career, entering various adult roles, and becoming financial independent, therefore extending the emerging adulthood stage into their late 20s. In regards to learning, beginning college students in this early adulthood stage may experience dualistic thinking, wherein something is either right or wrong with no gray areas. As young adults mature and are exposed to multiple viewpoints in college studies, they move toward relativistic thinking, in which knowledge is viewed as comparative and is dependent on the situation and the individual person. As reasoning improves during college years, few adults display reflective judgment, which is the most mature type of reasoning. It necessitates young adults to realize that options and opinions can be evaluated and to become capable of producing criteria to do so. According to theorist Gisela Leboviv, a transformation from hypothetical thought to pragmatic thought occurs from adolescence to adulthood. During this process, young adults realize they can use reasoning to address everyday problems and can accept inconsistencies and uncertainty. Everyday problems that young adults encounter involve flexibility and adaptation in their varying roles as spouse, parent, friend, and employee, for example, and realizing they have more freedom at home than they do at work, where they must follow employer directions and rules. From young adulthood through middle adulthood, individuals begin to understand others better, become more tolerant of differing viewpoints, and improve in solving day-to-day problems by learning to integrate their cognition with emotions, improving in cognitive affective complexity. They learn to become aware of their emotions, assimilate positive and negative emotions of problems, and regulate strong emotions in order to make logical decisions on complicated problems. Theorist Donald Super contends that the development of occupational goals moves through several stages in adolescence and early adulthood. These stages are 1. Crystallization, the earliest stage that begins 14 to 18 years of age, involving advanced career exploration methods. 2. Specification, young adulthood stage between the ages of 18 and 21, involving identifying, narrowing down, and achieving education to meet occupational goals. 3. Implementation, young adulthood stage between the ages of 21 and 24, involving completing training and entering the workforce as an employee. 4. Stabilization, young adulthood stage between the ages of 25 and 35, involving becoming established in a career. And 5. Consolidation, the final stage toward the end of young adulthood, ages 35 and up, involving gaining experience, getting promotions, moving into higher positions, and becoming responsible for managing others. It should be noted that not all individuals move through occupations in such a universal linear pattern and at the same pace, because most adults do not hold the same occupation through adulthood. In fact, adults in their 50s have, on the average, had 9 different jobs, and in particular between the ages of 18 and 20. In regards to personality development, the social investment principle, SIP, contends that it is influenced by age-related social roles that individuals take on, like becoming an employee, a partner, or parent, which generally take place in early adulthood. For instance, when young adults begin working as new employees, they are rewarded for appropriate behavior like meeting deadlines and are punished for inappropriate behavior like stealing from the workplace. There are society expectations for appropriate behaviors in various given roles that shape personality development in young adults. Personality traits change over a lifespan, and many mechanisms could be responsible, such as life changes, genetic makeup, cognitive ability, life goals, etc. Personality development is most important in early adulthood because that is when most of individuals' personality traits undergo change, in particular ages 20 to 40. Early adulthood marks a time when individuals have a main task of establishing intimate relationships with significant others. According to theorist Erik Erikson, the crisis of early adulthood is the major psychosocial task of intimacy versus isolation, developing the capacity for intimacy and making a permanent commitment to a romantic partner. This can be a challenging process for young adults who still scuffle with identity issues and are just becoming independent socially and financially. However, choosing not to attain intimacy and making a commitment results in isolation, which is a negative psychosocial sense of loneliness and self-absorption. Personality development also influences vocational choice in early adulthood. If young adults choose careers that match their personality traits and abilities with their career interests, they are going to be more satisfied. Theorist John Holland stated that occupational choices can be categorized by the following 6 personality types: investigative, social, realistic, artistic, conventional, and enterprising. He suggested that each personality type is well matched to a certain type of vocation. Holland's career theory diagram is shown here for more clarification and to provide more information. Many biological, neurological, and physiological factors affect development, function, and behavior in early adulthood. Muscle development builds during the 20s but peaks around 30. Muscle strength can be measured with how hard an individual can throw a ball, which begins declining around age 30. Isometric muscle strength, or the required refined constructions for hand grip, pushing off a wall, stretching, and yoga, maintains throughout adulthood. Basketball is an example of a sport requiring body coordination with bursts of strength, which peaks around age 20, and distance running primarily requires endurance that peaks around age 30. Sports practicing and athletic training can slow the aging of muscles and motor skills, showing later gradual signs of decline between the ages of late 30s to the 60s. Overall, women are waiting longer to have children after they have finished post-secondary education and established their careers. Traditionally, most have had their first child in their 20s, and births to women in their 30s have increased tremendously since the early 1990s. They may be more financially secure at the later age, but women in their mid to late 30s could experience difficulty in conceiving because reproductive capacity declines with age. There are a number of factors that could also affect ovulation, such as drug and alcohol abuse, environmental toxins, illnesses, and weight. Men are much different in terms of reproduction than women in that many are able to conceive into older adulthood. The amount of sperm produced does decline in the middle adulthood, but in young adulthood, the number produced can be affected by things like fever, stress, drug abuse, alcoholism, radiation, and environmental toxins. Free radicals can also contribute to male infertility. Many systemic or environmental factors affect the development, functioning, and behavior of early adulthood. The leading cause of death of young adults through the age of 35 in this life stage is unintentional injury, then homicide and suicide, and last cancer and heart disease. Illness causes few deaths in this life stage, and those individuals it does affect are more likely to be of low socioeconomic status. Healthcare is expensive in the United States, and access to it is limited by socioeconomic factors such as income, education, and occupation, which affects individuals' health and illness. Socioeconomic status is associated with other health influencers such as environmental factors, health boosting factors, and health risks that include crowding, stress, and pollution, exercise, diet, and social support, and obesity and substance abuse. Young adults oftentimes do not eat healthy because they now have the freedom of food choices, access to lots of food types, and maintain busy lifestyles. Young adult women show higher weight gains over women of other age groups because of contraceptives, dietary behaviors, level of physical activity, and life transitional stresses. Heredity does influence obesity, but there are stronger ties to environmental pressures in the Western nations of today, such as sedentary lifestyles and the availability of sugary, fatty, and fried foods. Substance abuse, which includes drug, alcohol, and tobacco use, often begins in the adolescent stage, heightens in the early 20s, and drops in the 30s. Young adults living away from their parents' house for the first time have many opportunities to explore, while also feeling pressure to finish their education, acquire a job, and to find a significant other. Pairing this with easy access to drugs and alcohol increases the risk of substance abuse and is highest in the 20s, often with serious implications such as overdose, injury, accidents, and death. Young adults can legally buy alcohol at age 21 in the United States. Binge drinking, which is defined by men drinking 5 or more drinks and women drinking 4 drinks in one setting, is a concern. 2 or more binge drinking episodes within a 30-day time frame defines heavy drinking. Binge and heavy drinking is highest in young adulthood and a concern because they increase the risk of alcohol dependence and abuse. As young adults transition from high school to college or the work world, they face fresh challenges such as new friendships, increased autonomy and independence, and less parental support and guidance, which can influence increased alcohol use. Even though young adults, in particular ages 18 to 29, show the highest rates of alcohol and abuse, there also is a decline in drinking over the early adulthood stage due to acquiring adult responsibilities, i.e., beginning a career, getting married, and having children. Negative consequences for young adults who often engage in binge drinking include fatal and non-fatal injuries, academic failure, violence and crime, unintended pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, and impaired driving. Young adults may also experience undue stress from daily hassles like heavy traffic and deadlines, serious negative life events like a death of a family member or divorce, and negative social conditions like poverty or unsafe communities that contribute to poor health. Theorist Bernice Newgarden contends that adult development is shaped by a network of contextual influences. Throughout life, individuals go through a number of age-related expectations for major life events like graduation, marriage, parenthood, retirement, etc., referred to as a social clock. Every society has a social clock, and individuals measure their progression against that of their peers. Individuals' self-esteem and psychological functioning is affected by how well they match their cultural social clock. The timing of age-related life events has expanded and become less set in stone since the mid-20th century in Western cultures, i.e., later parenthood is now an acceptable norm. In conclusion, I will leave you with the following essay question. Many changes that young adults go through in early adulthood set the stage for more stable years in middle adulthood. Why do you believe this to be the case? I hope you enjoyed my presentation and it provided insight of the developments in the early adulthood life stage. Thank you.